Recording in progress.
Everybody ready? Good evening and welcome to the Federal Way City Council meeting for October 17th, 2023. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I think I speak for everybody when I say it's great to see such a great crowd. Thank you so much for being here. We've got a very good council meeting. We've got a lot of very special things to talk about this evening. But to start it all off, we have a very special key of the city. For the first time in our city's history, I started doing the mayor's key of the city when I became mayor back in 2014. And it's something that we're all, that's very special, and I know the council joins me in this, and we have a very, very special, it's the first time in the city's history that three people simultaneously have gotten the key to the city. And those three people are in recognition for what has been 20 years, gosh, it sounds, of a Federal Way Farmers Market. So we're giving Rose Eel, David Eel, and Carla Kolobob to the founders of the Federal Way Farmers Market, the mayor's key to the city. I'll come down here, I'll read this, and then we're going to have some comments. But I do want to say before we get started that they have just really been the heart of this community. That one of the things that I know that so many of us up here and so many of us in the community look forward to Saturdays. You know, I remember my mother moved my twin brother out to a small town outside of Olympia. You may have heard it, but now because of football, Yelm. And we were raised in the town of Yelm when I was a young person and went through junior high and high school there. And there were some really special things about raised in a small town. There's some challenges, but there were some really special things about being raised in a small town. And I can tell you that while the city of Federal Way now, I believe, is the 10th largest city in the state, with well over 103,000 people living here that we faithfully serve, sometimes it feels like a small town in the best sense of the words. And in large part, that's because of the Federal Way Farmers Market. It's where we gather to break bread, drink coffee, talk a little politics, talk a little bit of social goings-ons. You just get together and talk and see each other. And where the local merchants can sell flowers. I can tell you, I always time whether I buy 2 sets of Mother's Day flowers every Saturday when the market opens, and it's always walking through the market to see what they have. It is really one of the really special institutions in our community, and I say institutions because it's really become one of the pillars of our city. And so I think that, thank you. So with that, let's go down and I'll read this, and then we're going to hear from Rose, Dave, and Carla, and then we're going to. I think they've got some pictures they want to show us, and we'll hear from council members. And there's cake when it's over. And exactly, that's what I said. And I want to let you know, Councilmember Assefa Dawson, for the first time in the key to the city history, we've got chocolate cake back there. So it's a special day. Thank you, Pam, for doing that. So let me go down here and we'll read away. Our wise former mayor, city council member, Jack Dovey has said what is very wise, which is after we do the key to the city, let's swear in our new officers and then we'll eat the cake. Does that sound okay to everybody? Okay, we've got families here as well. So with that, Dave, Rose, Carla, come on up. Let's embarrass you thoroughly. And let me go ahead and read this. Key to the City of Federal Way, Washington, presented October 17th, 2023. Dave Eel, Rose Eel, Carla Kolobob, by Mayor Jim Farrell. The City of Federal Way and the City Council of Federal Way. The City of Federal Way appreciates all you do for the Federal Way Farmers Market. Celebrating its 20th anniversary, your family unites our community, organizes the vendors, and creates a special place in Federal Way with fresh produce, flowers, and other necessities. Your dedication to keeping the flowers market going during COVID was absolutely inspiring and a little complicated. The farmers market has been a family affair and adventure, one we hope will continue for another 20 years. Congratulations.
Pushing the press aside, what y'all thinking?
Exactly. Yeah, Dave. All right, so let's start in order. Rose, would you like to say a few words, and then Carla, and then Dave?
Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. We appreciate so much all of your support for our market. The Federal Way Farmers Market is honored to receive this key to the city Federal Way. We've been blessed by God all these years to be able to bring the farmers market to the Federal Way community. Our vision for the farmers market was to create an outdoor open air space where local farmers, artisans, and residents could have a gathering space to shop, meet, and spend family time together while providing for our local economy. A few of our supporters here today and many more have seen us through 20 years of opportunities and challenges, such as the pandemic. We would like to recognize a few who have been a huge support to us. Of course, we want to start out with the City of Federal Way, the Mayor, City Council, and Bill Vedino for their support in all parts of our market. I want to also thank Pete Von Reitbauer. I don't think he could make it tonight. He had a council meeting, and he's been a big supporter of the market and supported us and throughout all these years. And Chief Andy Wang and Assistant Fire Chief Kevin Crossan, we appreciate all their support, and they helped us with our chili cook-off that we did for 6 years, and then we went on to doing a Taste of Federal Way, and now been our judges for that. So we're really appreciative. And we thank Bruce and Susan Honda. Susan Honda is there and helps us with getting our volunteers for our Key Club volunteers, and she helps with supporting us and organizes that. And last week, the kids she organized had a bake sale from Federal Way High School. So we appreciate her, and we appreciate Bruce. As you can see, he's here taking pictures every Saturday. He's at the market taking pictures, and sometimes I'll call him when he's out of town and say, I need some pictures, and he'll send them to me, if I need them, to CVS, and so I can go pick them up. And I just appreciate both of them for all their dedication and for being there for us for all these years. And we also want to thank Dwight and Shelley Pauls, who couldn't be here tonight. They're in South Africa, actually, celebrating their anniversary. And they have been such a support to the market. And they take the pictures and put it on Facebook, as well as Bruce does that. Sometimes even Bruce does it before the market closes. So we really appreciate that. And she does decorations for our events and so much more. And Yvonne San Luis couldn't be here tonight, and she does our designing of our posters. The very first one you saw, the 20 years, and she did our Taste of Federal Way poster. So we really thank her for that. And we also want to thank Craig and Anna Patrick. Is Anna here tonight? There she is. And we appreciate all they do for us. Their daughter worked for us, and they come, and just like Craig the other day, where our DJ needed some gas for his generator, and he goes to our knife guy and gets gas, for our generator. And so we appreciate so much all they do, and they helped out, gave of their time to help out with the Taste of Federal Way as well. And we tell Craig we enjoy his corned beef. And so anyway, and Vicki Chenoweth, are you here, Vicki? Don't see Vicki. She's a big supporter of our farmers market. and want to showcase her book here that she did for the market. It's every week she posts in the Federal Way Mirror the recipe, and it always includes a recipe and some food from the farmer's market. And she showcased David in his donut booth, but we appreciate her. And if you need to buy this, it's available at the market for just $20. So it's a great buy. And so we also want to thank Angel View. Couldn't be here tonight. She was supposed to represent our farmers at our market, and she does flowers and veggies, and has been with us for 20 years as well. So anyway, but we also want to showcase Cheryl Hurst. She spends hours sometimes helping us at our Christmas bazaar. Her and John Fairbanks, and they cleaned the place when we were in the mall during our Christmas bazaar. And she is supposed to be in Maui right now with her husband, and she stayed back to help to come tonight. And we really appreciate her, and she's usually the best ticket seller that we have for all of our tickets. And we also want to thank Melinda. Melinda, are you here? There she is. Melinda has helped us to organize our volunteers. She and selling tickets, and also want to recognize Lydia along with her, because Lydia was, during the pandemic, sat the whole time and checked people in, and it was for a couple of years we did that, and we had to go through that with the pandemic. And last but not least, I also want to thank Jack Dovey for helping us. He was in a committee that helped us get funds to get our market started, and we paid it all back, right, Jack? So we're thankful for that.
The only people in Federal Way that got money that paid it back.
So, and we also should thank the rest of the council. We also appreciate Linda Kochmar she comes to the market, and usually the first stop she'll make is the donut booth. And right. So we appreciate that, and so much for all she contributes to our market as well. And we also, and Paul is new, but we've known Paul for quite a while. He's helped us and talked to us about analytics with our market and marketing, and we appreciate him, and we're glad to see him on the city council. So anyway, we have also, we have many more that we want to thank, and we also want to thank Cindy and the Federal Way Mirror for all they do for us. They showcase her, wave Cindy, where's Cindy? There she is. And for all the support they've given us throughout the years. Sometimes we'll say, yay, we're on the front page. It's so exciting to have your market on the front page. And we appreciate them so much. And they're out, at our events. Cindy brings the newspapers every Saturday morning. And people were asking for them. She didn't bring enough last week. So we're very thankful for the Mirror and all they do for us. And we wouldn't have been able to be a successful market without all of you. And I thank you. And now I'd like you to listen to Carla. Carla Kolobab. She is our market manager.
Good evening. Just a couple notes about the market. We started actually with about 10 vendors 20 years ago, and we've definitely built up since then. It's been great. We used to have to search for vendors, and now the vendors are actually kind of searching for us. So it makes us feel good. Federal Way is a good place. We have developed into a recognizable market and have big community gathering around us to keep us going all these years. 20 years is quite some time. Throughout the years, we've had many events at the market. We've had runs, walks, chili cook-offs, Taste of Federal Way, many years hosting a Christmas bazaar inside the mall. And we've also done a ton of special event days, like Community Resource Day, Apple Festival. We love our City Day with Family Life Community Church, Health and Safety Days, and Pet Days. And I don't think that there's an event out there that we haven't done or haven't tried. I think we've done them all. There have also been a lot of Fedaway businesses and nonprofits and Fedaway service clubs to whom we appreciated the support to the market. All these many events have allowed us to donate and give back to the community in many ways. The market has had vendors who started their businesses at the market and have launched successful businesses from it. One big one is KCD's Barbecue, and he's here tonight. We've also had, fabulous, you gotta go. Peppa's Lumpia and Fedaway Sharper Tools, among some of them. There are some more also. We have been very fortunate to be included in such programs as Fresh Bucks, Market Match, and now we have the Healthy Kids program sponsored by Virginia Mason Franciscan Health. These programs have helped to bring fresh fruits and vegetables to keep our future community healthy. Organizing a farmer's market isn't just about setting up some tents and calling it a day. It takes a lot of hard work, dedication, and a whole lot of love, time, and patience. Setting up in the rain, taking the market down in sweltering hot, or cold, freezing weather. And you'd think we'd have it done by now, or down with heaters and things like that, but we don't. We just rough it. Working a full-time job while also working at the market has had its challenges, but has been worth it. Working on my day off and evenings to get the job done. My 2 kids grew up with the market as a big part of their lives. I just realized they were 6 years old when we started the market. They're now 26, 25, and 26. Crazy. And I want to thank them for their support and help throughout the years. I bet I can beat anyone putting up a canopy. Me and my son Andrew used to compete to see who could do it the fastest. I always won. He's back there. It's been an honor to receive the key to the city. We really appreciate it and your support. Thank you, David.
Thank you for such an honor. A donut maker. What did you think? You know, we started out, the kids were young. I would take the kids after Carla and I'd set up the canopies and set up the market, and I would take them out to breakfast and then babysit them for a couple of hours. They'd always say, I want to go back to the market. So back to the market we went. This went on for a couple of years, and finally they were getting older, and so we had to figure out something different. I wanted to be busy at the market, spend time there, instead of taking care of the kids. So we went in the donut business, and I decided I'd run the donut machine. And I've been doing it for 18 years now, minus a year for the pandemic. And this past year, I've missed a few of them because of illness, but I'm looking forward to doing a full year next year. And I hope that all my friends and customers will come out and see me and buy some more donuts. Thank you. Thank you so much for the honor.
As you can see, we have many pictures up here of the market. That's David's Donut Booth. And we have a lot of things. We have, you know, Pet Day, as you can tell, and all kinds of fruits and vegetables. As you know, we have a great food at the market, and we'd love you to come and have lunch. We have KCD's Barbecue here that was here last Tuesday at City Hall, providing lunch for everybody. And we thank him for, and he was also as part of our Taste of Fedaway, and he won the Judges Award for #1. So we're very happy about that. So we thank him. So we appreciate all of you. And for 20 years, the market has been a vibrant hub of activity, bringing together local farmers, artisans, and of course, our wonderful customers. to a gathering place in Federal Way. It's been a place where we celebrate the bounty of our region and support local businesses and connect with one another. The market isn't just a place to buy produce, it's where friendships are made and memories are created. Together, we will continue to make Federal Way a beautiful and thriving place for generations to come. So we'd like you to come we have 2 more weeks left, this week and in our last week. And we would like you to come and walk around the market and see what we have to offer. You know, we have great produce and berries and corn and melons and pumpkins and all kinds of things. And of course, our great food vendors. Stop and have lunch with KCD's Barbecue. We have a taco truck there with delicious Mexican food. And we have a hot dog vendor there with ice cream. So please come and shop. And that's how we survive, is by you coming and shopping, because our vendors need that. That's their only business, and that helps them survive. So we'll see you at the market. And again, I want to thank you for the key to the city. I just want to add, this is a flyer, and if anybody would like one for our last day for the market. All kinds of things, a costume contest, a dance with Michael Jackson's Thriller. So come out and see us and enjoy shopping also. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, we're going to have, once we swear in the officers, we'll have an opportunity to we'll talk with Dave, Rose, and Carla. Council, did anybody want to say anything? No? Okay, we'll have a chance
A big
for that.
thank you.
Exactly. Okay, now, Chief, let's swear in some lieutenants and corporals.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Kochmar, Deputy Mayor Honda, and members of the council. This evening, we'd like to publicly recognize and celebrate the promotion of 3 outstanding individuals and the appointment of 2 individuals to corporal positions. Promotions are one of the most critical decisions chiefs make for their agency. Supervising police officers is enormous responsibility in deciding who will make complex, important decisions that occur in real time on our streets is a significant undertaking. Our department has been in existence now for 27 years. One of the key ingredients of our success has been to promote the right individuals. These individuals standing before you consistently demonstrate strong work ethic and principled leadership. They embody the core values of our agency and certainly deserving of this recognition. Mayor Farrell will administer the oath of office shortly. First, we have Officer R.B. Blackshear. He is being promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Family members, if you want to stand or get to the center and take pictures or video, you're welcome to do that. Officer Blackshear has over 9 years of law enforcement experience, joining our agency in 2013. RB was the acting lieutenant assigned to the Specialty Assignments Unit, overseeing the school resource officers. Officer Blackshear is hardworking, generates quality work products, is detail-oriented, and is well-liked and respected among his peers. Officer Blackshear graduated high school in Maryland, but he grew up all over the place because his father was active duty military. RB was previously employed at the Federal Detention Center in Des Moines. Officer Blackshear served in the Army National Guard, where he was a squad leader for the Seaburn Response Team and is a distinguished honor graduate at the JBLM Non-Commissioned Officer Academy. We're very excited for RB. Please join me in congratulating Lieutenant Blackshear for this significant career achievement. This evening, we'll have Lieutenant Blackshear's daughter, Madison. She'll be coming up to pin the badge. Next, we have Officer Jeff Vanderveer. He's being promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Officer Vanderveer has over 31 years of law enforcement experience, transferring to Federal Way 16 years ago from a Connecticut police department where he served as a sergeant. Officer Vanderveer has diversified and extensive work experience, including working as a patrol supervisor, detective, and administrative officer. Officer Vanderveer proudly served on the Valley Independent Investigation Team for 8 years, certified by the state as a qualified lead investigator to conduct independent investigations into officer-involved shootings. Officer Vanderveer is currently an administrative officer in charge of recruiting, hiring, conducting background investigations, and coordinating department-wide training. Officer Vanderveer is hardworking, detail-oriented officer with excellent communication skills, who is well-liked and respected among his peers. We're very excited for Jeff. Please join me in congratulating Lieutenant Vanderveer for this significant career achievement. Okay, Lieutenant Vanderveer's wife, Jill, will be pinning the badge tonight. Jill is the principal at Redmond High School. Jeff, be good. Don't get called to the principal's office, okay? All right, next we have Corporal Nick Peterson. He's being promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Corporal Peterson has 18 years of law enforcement experience, joining our agency in 2005. Corporal Peterson has diversified work experience and was assigned to the Special Operations Unit, SOU. Nick has also worked as a patrol officer and a school resource officer, and collateral assignments include being a technician on the bomb disposal unit for the past 6 years and member of the civil disturbance unit. As a corporal assigned to the SOU unit, Nick was tasked to lead others for several community projects, restructure the mountain bike program, and directed bike patrols in the downtown core, parks, and trail system. Corporal Peterson has also recently organized successful shoplifting emphasis operations in the downtown business district, working directly with local retailers. Nick also coordinated a monthly outreach program with the local recovery and assistance program for the homeless community. Corporal Peterson is hardworking, detail-oriented officer who is well-liked and respected among his peers. We're very excited for Nick. Please join me in congratulating Lieutenant Peterson for this significant career achievement. Lieutenant Peterson's wife, Madison, will be pinning the badge tonight. All right, next we have Officer Travis Tilford. He's being appointed to the position of corporal. Officer Tilford has 16 years of law enforcement experience and is a field training officer for the department and positively contributes to the development of new officers. Travis is a tenured patrol officer with a lot of experience and shares with newer officers through his FTO role for more than 3 years. Officer Tilford spent 5 years as a school resource officer at Thomas Jefferson High School. Officer Tilford is humble, hardworking, generates quality work products, generally cares for the people he interacts with, and strongly desires to mentor younger officers. We're very excited for Travis. Please join me in congratulating Corporal Tilford for this significant career achievement. Corporal Tilford's wife, Lindsay, will be pinning the badge tonight. Next, we have Officer Andrew Cedarberg. He's being appointed to the position of corporal. Officer Cedarberg has over 13 years of law enforcement experience, and he's been a generalist canine handler since 2018. Officer Cedarberg is a lateral experienced police officer who transferred from a Wisconsin police department to Federal Way 9 years ago. As a tenured officer, Andrew mentors and guides newer officers in canine-related matters, provides tactical debriefs of prior incidents, and routinely shares his knowledge with new officers on the shift. Before becoming a canine officer, Officer Cedarberg was a field training officer. Officer Cedarberg has shown outstanding dedication with his partner, Vader, and have worked tirelessly to capture dozens and dozens of violent offenders to keep our community safe for many years. Officer Cedarberg is hardworking, detail-oriented officer with excellent communication skills and is well-liked and respected among his peers personally and professionally. We are very excited for Andrew. Please join me in congratulating Corporal Cedarberg for this significant career achievement. Corporal Cedarberg's wife, Kim, will be pinning the badge tonight. Okay, lieutenants, if you could come up here. Lieutenants first. The mayor will give you your oath of office.
All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Nick Peterson,
Do solemnly swear that I'm a citizen of the United States
do solemnly swear that I'm a citizen of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington.
and that you will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and laws of the state of Washington,
and laws of the state of Washington,
and will, to the best of your judgment, skill, and ability,
and will, to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability,
truly and faithfully,
truly and faithfully,
diligently and impartially,
diligently and impartially,
perform the duties of lieutenant
perform the duties of lieutenant
in and for the city of Federal Way,
in and for the city of Federal Way,
King County, Washington,
King County, Washington,
and other duties as prescribed by law.
and other duties as prescribed by law.
Congratulations. Corporals. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Travis Silver,
Do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States
do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and that you will support the Constitution
and I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and laws of the state of Washington,
and laws of the state of Washington,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
skill, and ability,
skill, and ability,
truly and faithfully,
truly and faithfully,
diligently and impartially,
diligently and impartially,
perform the duties of corporal
perform the duties of corporal
in and for the city of Federal Way,
in and for the city of Federal Way,
in King County, Washington,
King County, Washington,
and other duties as prescribed by law.
and other duties as prescribed by law.
Congratulations. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. I think these guys and Rose, Dave, and Carla deserve some cake. Let's have some cake. We'll break for about 10 or 15. Great job. Great job. Order. Okay, everybody.
Do we do this later? No.
Exactly. We do, we do.
Especially you.
Okay. Well, congratulations again, corporals, lieutenants, Dave, Carla, Rose, thank you so much. All right. Did they leave any chocolate cake? I'm not that I'm having any. I successfully,
There's one piece left.
oh, no, I'm good.
Run.
You guys, there's one piece left if anybody wants it.
You can get it.
I think I've had enough cake.
Oh, no, it's gone.
It's gone. Thank you. Thank you, Commander. All right. Okay, Mayor's emerging issues and report. Bill, let's go ahead and cue that up, if you will. First, we have the Day Center update from the Community Development Director, Keith Niven. Keith, you want to just give the update from where you are? And Bill, let's hold on the screen for a second.
That would be great. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Last council meeting was, I believe, the 3rd of October, and I reported that we were going to meet with representatives from the Day Center on the 4th, and we did that. The mayor and Brian and myself met with Dan Wise and Bill Hollerman to talk about how things were being perceived by the community at the Day Center. It was all the tents, it was shopping carts and the debris and all the stuff that just needed to be cleaned up. And we had a really good conversation, and I think what at least I've observed since that meeting is things are dramatically different. There is still a person living under umbrellas in that location, but other than that, it has been fairly clean. So with that, that's the end of my update, and I'm here for questions if anybody has any.
Council, I want to let you know that we did, Dan and Bill and us, we had a great conversation. And literally 12 hours later, when we drove by, all of that stuff that we were seeing before was gone. And I think that they really took it to heart. They went back and talked to the folks, the members that use it, or the individuals who access those services, and just explained that we're all in this together, and we want them to get help. Certainly the folks at the Day Center want those individuals to get help, and it was immediate. So it was very nice to see. And thank you, Keith, and for your help with that. And Brian and I know that the chief had talked to them as well. We just want to make sure that we're creating an environment that will help people, not and where they can get help, and not that we're just sort of kicking the can down the road or facilitating that what has gotten them in that place, whatever circumstances there are. So it's been very positive. So we'll keep you updated, Council, and obviously the community will let us know when there's issues, and we'll immediately communicate that. But I can tell you it was a respectful and positive communication. Okay, now, Bill, let's move to.
He's teaching me something new.
Where's his cape?
Right. Thomas is not Bill's. Got to clarify. Okay, so my emerging issues and report. We have the Mayor's Day of Concern food drive. I want to thank the council. I want to thank Fred Meyer and just the hundreds of people that have helped either at their curbside or at Fred Meyer that day. We've got some amazing numbers to report. Waste Management collected 13,441 pounds at residences. Isn't that amazing? And then when we were at Fred Meyer, and that picture to the bottom left with the council and the volunteers and the folks from the Federal Way Food Bank at the Day Center, they collected another 1,431 pounds just in that day, and $1,165 in cash, totaling. So all in, we were able. For the benefit of the community and the folks that need it, especially if it gets cold and we're getting into the deeper into the fall, 14,872 pounds benefiting the Multi-Service Center Food Bank, which is really truly a pillar of hope in this community and really one of the great places in our community. There's so many, but that is one. It's just a really an anchor in this community. Okay, and I've got to thank Waste Management. Waste Management was great with that, and they do this every year. Okay, now, recent community events. We had the Community Caregiving Network Super Supper. That was over at the Christian Faith Center. It was great to see that, the Community Caregiving Network and all the folks that were board members and donees and amazing soup. And it was just a really good time for the community, and it was great to see so many people there, and they did a great job. We had and that was the picture to the far left bottom. Next, we had, that is the mayor, right next to that, we had the mayor of Yangsan, South Korea. He and a delegation. Brian, how many people you think were part of that delegation?
I think we had two groups of 15 going in the mayor's office.
Yeah, about
Was it at least
30.
30, I'd say.
Yeah, and we gave them a tour in the office and the Sister City room, and it was, oh, you see the group right there. Actually, the third picture was the group here in council chambers. They had the mayor, the head of the chamber, a very distinguished delegation, and we had a great conversation about really the next, what the next few years are going to look like in regard to South Korean and American and certainly Federal Way's involvement in South Korea. Recall, if you will, we had gone to our sister city for the first time in a number of years earlier this year, and to Donghae, and we also went to our sister city in Japan as well, and really it was historic and a great time. All right, then on, I believe it was Friday on October 13th, the King County Metro Transit dedication of the bus shelter. It was a mural tribute to John and Mary Kona, October 13th, and it was there right in, sorry for the typo, it was John and Mary Kona. It's a really, they were very historic and important members of our community. I know the Diversity Commission is going to be talking about that. I know the council is talking about this. We actually, this was a mural that the Metro King County put together at the bus stop right in front of the Safeway at 320th. It's a great crowd. You see King County Councilman Pete von Reichbauer there, members of the Kona family, descendants of John and Mary. John Kona was actually a very historic individual who owned much of the property. It's sort of the southwest, about 157 acres, I believe, in the area right around where Winco is, and in that area through our Panther Lake and in that area. And actually, he was the first parliamentarian, first sergeant of arms for the state legislature back in 1889 at the beginning of the state. A really interesting history. So if you get a chance, go there. But that's what King County Metro did. We just recently, a few months ago, passed a naming ordinance in the city about making sure that we've got a methodical and fair way to approach naming. That has been deliberated in council committee, passed by full council, and now we're going to be going through a process with the Kona family and the community about moving forward about what the city can do to honor John and Mary Kona. And we reached out to the Kona family after this, and it was a great opportunity to talk with them. And so there's a deep history here in the community, and he has, if you, actually it's written in the history book of Federal Way in regard to his involvement and their collective involvement. All right, the Federal Way Art, so I'll look for that to come in the future, and we'll be inviting the community to participate in those discussions. Federal Way Arts Foundation Enchante Celebration of the Arts at the PAC. That was on Saturday, October 14th. And I believe that's like the second to the last picture right there. That was at the PAC on Saturday. That was after our son's football game. And so it was a great day, a great celebration at the PAC. Then, I don't know if you could see me in the Dude sweater. Dude was there. Not the dude, but certainly someone who looks a lot like him. He let me borrow his sweater. And we were there for the youth cyclocross race at Celebration Park on October 15th. And it just reminded me, Bill, I probably need to order one of my own. I was a little surprised he let me borrow his. So next. Okay, upcoming events. Multi-Service Center, MSC Helps Luncheon. That's this Thursday, October 19th, 11:30 a.m. We've got the 2023 Great Washington Shakeout, October 19th at 10:19 a.m., and that's where we're going to be having a drill here. It's going to be statewide to talk about what happens in case there is some sort of earthquake event. We've got Tricks and Treats at Federal Way Community Center on Saturday, October 28th at 3 p.m. We've got the finale for the Federal Way Farmers Market on, it's the Halloween edition. It's the closing of the market from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then we've got King County Elections Vote Center at City Hall Friday, November 3rd, and Monday, November 6th, and Election Day, Tuesday, November 7th. So those are upcoming events. Okay, and now, I believe that's it, right? Okay, that concludes my report. And now we are on to the most important items, which is public comment. Stephanie, would you like to read the rules?
In accordance with state law, the City of Federal Way prohibits any testimony regarding any campaign for election or promotion of or opposition to any ballot proposition during the public comment. City Council rules of procedure prohibit any personal, impertinent, threatening, or slanderous remarks during public comment. The mayor may interrupt comments that continue too long or violate the rules of conduct. No speaker may convey or donate their time for speaking to another speaker. The mayor has the authority to preserve order at all meetings of the council and to cause the removal of any person from the meeting for being disorderly. All individual comments are limited to 3 minutes each.
Okay, and now we've got quite a number of public comments, so I'll call up a few, and if you could queue up toward the back. We've got, this is the order we've got so far. Susan Strong, Melissa Hamilton, Allison Fine, Tia Monet, Sadia Abdullah, Ken Blevins, Jeffrey Tancredi, Trinice Rogers, Tirza Idahosa, Kevin Morris, Anna Patrick, and then we've got a remote or Zoom that we'll take care of then. So the first, Susan Strong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't even have to be first. I mean, I didn't even have to pay to be first. Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmar, council members, I'm Susan Strong. I live in Federal Way. I've been here since 1975. At the September 5th City Council meeting, I reported that the infamous tall shady tree in the back of the parking lot at the Dollar Tree store on Pacific Highway South had been completely cut down to the ground. I had high hopes that the tree huggers would find a new area in which to hang around. I was wrong. Recently, I visited the store and spoke to the manager to see how things are going. He reported that the homeless now hang out in his back loading area. When I was there, I saw at least 6 homeless people out back. When they get pushed out of the back area by the police, they wander up to the left front of the dollar store. The manager reports that these people still come in his store and shoplift. The drug dealer comes by every day to sell them drugs. The owner of the store found out that depending on who puts in a fence in the back and a gate delivery in the back delivery area, they become responsible for store employees escaping out the back fire door in the event that there is a fire inside the store. The store manager told me that his store owner has no idea of who put the large, solid cement blocks in the back area near the trees. These blocks provide seating, but that's all. The store would like to have them removed by whoever put them there. Businesses and Federal Way residents are trying everything they can think of, but the drug addiction and homelessness keeps growing. Where are we headed? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Susan. Melissa Hamilton.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council President, and Council and Community. My name is Melissa Hamilton. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I decided I probably should. No script tonight. Sunday morning, I had the unfortunate need to call 911. I was at church, and I got notifications on my Ring camera that there were people on our property. They entered our gate. They went to our back door. They went to our dock. I live on the lake. I called 911, and I said, there's people on our property. Not knowing what exactly what's happening in the moment, I said, I'm on my way there. Please go to our house. That call I made at 10:57 hours, and an officer called me back at 13:34 hours. So about 2.5 hours later was when their response happened. I understand that there's 3 factors for response times: a number of calls in the queue, number of officers that we have available, and number of officers it's going to take to respond to that specific situation. So I don't know what priority my call was at, but even if it was a low priority call, it scared me what was happening. 2.5 hours, that's too long. I just talked to the chief about our vacancies of staffing on our police force. I want the city council to please consider whether or not the current staffing levels that we have set is enough. Maybe look at some of the response times for these lower priority calls, because even if they're lower priority, 2.5 hours is just, it doesn't make me feel safe to know that it takes that long, not knowing what's happening. I didn't know if these people were there to burglarize my home. I didn't know what they were doing. Come to find out, it was a scam. The woman was pretending that my house was her house, and she was pretending she lived there and trying to scam this man into giving her his dog. Very odd. But I don't know if she was pretending to be a dog sitter or if she was just wanting a dog, but very strange situation. 2.5 hours is too long for our police to respond. Please consider whether or not our current staffing is adequate. Thank you.
All right. Allison Fine.
Mayor, council, folks. On June 1st, we raised a pride flag right outside this building, and on June 6th, I stood here in front of you all, and I both accepted a pride proclamation from the mayor, and I also sat in the back of the room and cried because there were people from my community that decided to speak out negatively against the LGBTQ community that lives here, calling us names like demons. At that time, I asked for the city council and the mayor to speak up when things like that happened. But today I stand here saddened because now the offensive behavior is coming from inside the house. During the October 10th Parks Committee meeting, there was a discussion about programming at our beautiful Performing Arts Center. A council member decided to speak up and make a request that the city council should be notified whenever there's a performance that's deemed controversial, so they can be prepared to deal with comments and complaints from the community. This council member stated specifically that this was about a transgender person, and the irony of this is that they also started their comments with about how we are not Seattle or Tacoma and that we are a small suburban community, which infers that there are no queer people that live in our community, and we know that that is not true. Additionally, there was not a transgender person who performed at the PAC, but rather a large organization that held a very special celebration for queer people there. It was clear by the looks on the other people's face in the video that the situation made many people uncomfortable about how this was an inappropriate request due to the discriminatory nature of deeming something controversial. And another council member spoke out against that, and to that person, I publicly say thank you. I do want to point out that deeming someone or some specific type of act controversial will open the door to saying we don't like other types of acts because we find them controversial. To the council person who made that comment, deeply seeped in transphobia, and the other council members who did nothing to stop the behavior or call it out, you should once again be embarrassed. You were elected to represent everyone in this community. You were also given multiple notifications about who comes to the PAC. I've done my research. There's also a calendar that you can access at any time. Your response to complaints from the community should be, if it's not your cup of tea, don't drink it. My initial thought was to file an ethics complaint. Unfortunately, our code of ethics is not updated to include anything except financial exploitation, and that's disappointing. I recommend that you look at that soon. As a member of this community and as a queer person and as a diversity commissioner, I will not tolerate this behavior. I will always speak against hateful words and bigotry, and our city leaders should be expected to speak out and act in a manner that represents everyone. Thanks.
Taimane Tia Monet. Is that Tia Monet? Is that person out here? Okay. All right. Sadia Abdullah.
Greetings, Mayor, council members. Barbara Jordan said, if the society today allows wrongs to go unchallenged, the impression is created that those wrongdoings have the approval of the majority. I am here to remind this council that your words and implications do not have the approval of all. There is no useful purpose beyond bigotry and division for this council to be notified of public or private events led by or inclusive of members of the LGBTQ community. Their contributions to history, art, and culture are notable, but it is their desire to live, love, and hold space in our community that you continue to attack. We live in a county named after Dr. King, and while his most lauded speech happened at the March on Washington, it was Bayard Rustin, an openly gay civil rights activist who served as the chief organizer of that historic march. It was Rustin who introduced King to the nonviolence principles of Gandhi. I continue to be disappointed and ashamed of this council and their continued members who choose to build walls instead of bridges. Thank you to the council member who did stand up in the real time for the outrageous and biased request of your fellow council members. I pray that each of you have the day that you deserve.
Ken Blevins. And then Jeffrey Tangariti.
Mayor, City Council, thanks for hearing me. I'm a citizen of Federal Way for the last 51 years. Born and raised in Federal Way, went to Federal Way schools, raised my family in Federal Way, went to church in Federal Way, still do. Well, actually right now, right outside of Auburn, or outside of Federal Way in Auburn. But I'm really highly invested in Federal Way. My mom still lives here, 79-year-old woman. And just the safety of Federal Way is very important to me and my family. So what I want to do is I want to thank our current council, because what we had before is we had a council that kind of was rubber stamping King County, what they wanted to do to our city, and our voice didn't matter as much. So we have a voice, we voted, and we have this council, that's what we asked for. And so we appreciate what they've done in the last couple of years. We appreciate the mayor working with the council that is current. I've had many police officers come up to me and thank us for helping this council get into place, because of that they would have defunded, the last council would have defunded our police. We don't need less police, we need more police. We need supportive police. We need these guys that are coming up here, and we need to honor them and their family for protecting us. So they don't need to protect us. They don't need to stand up for us. But because they do, we need to stand up for them. So let's look at getting more cops and keep on doing this. They're hiring, they're doing the best they can. It can only get better with this council that's in place. So, but I did want to actually challenge something that's on the little sign-up sheet. It says that you can't talk about politics, but it says also in the rules that somewhere there it has a RCW that it cites, but the RCW has something to say that you guys can't talk about politics. And I think we should talk more about that. I do think that we should be more public and get people more involved. So I would hope people out here that are listening at this at home or in here will go and register to vote if you aren't already. Get your kids to register to vote, because if you don't vote, you don't get a voice, okay? So all you can do is go on Facebook and complain, and nothing's gonna happen there. So, but if you want something, do email the mayor and the council. They are very receptive when it comes to that. This is a very civil dais, and everybody here is working their butts off to try to make us safer in Federal Way. But that day center, since it's been here, I've talked to all the cops that have worked here for a long time, it's only gotten worse. It's all it does is attract homeless drug addicts into our city. And with current rules, they're actually sending them here. And then our cops just have to do the best that they possibly can. It brings more crime and violence when it comes down to it. So check out Stand Up Federal Way FW if you want to look at a voter's guide, something that we've put together. Thank you very much.
Jeffrey Tancredi.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmar, Jeff Tancredi, Federal Way resident for 27 years. Mayor, I set up on a piece of paper, I wrote down the pluses and the minuses. I put a plus on the left side, minus on the right side for the day center. What are the advantages and the disadvantages of having the day center in Federal Way? There was one plus that I could come up with. The employees there receive very good salaries. But here were the negatives. There's no short-term or long-term plan to get these addicts into a treatment facility. There's no plan to get the addicts rehabilitated and back into society as productive members. They're languishing on the streets. There's no medical plan to wean them off of these drugs. Are the day center addicts breaking into businesses and stealing? Are the day center addicts constantly loitering on Pack Highway? Are the day center addicts urinating and defecating next to businesses on Pack Highway? Are the day center addicts breaking windows of businesses? Are the day center addicts constantly pushing carts on Pack Highway and congregating next to and in front of businesses? Are the day center addicts the ones setting up makeshift encampments in the woods on Pack Highway and next to businesses? Are the day center addicts setting fires next to businesses and burning the businesses? Are the day center addicts constantly panhandling? Are the day center residents addicts leaving trash on the ground everywhere they go? Are the day center addicts trespassing on private and public property? Are the day center addicts impacting in a negative way the residents of Kitts Corner and other areas? These were just some of the things that I came up with, Mayor and Council. There was one plus. That was, I believe, if I checked online, they make pretty good salaries. I'm all about capitalism, but there's absolutely no benefit to this city. The businesses on Pack Highway, I have gone up and down Pack Highway several times and talked to those business owners and managers. The Pack Highway businesses should be the crown jewel of Federal Way. You've got every business, Somalis, Koreans, Vietnamese, Americans, Hispanics, you name it, they're there. Kenyan Bible study, I've talked to all of them. I talked to the Valley behavioral person. He couldn't even look me in the eye because he was so ashamed of what's going on. Thanks for your time.
Trinice Rogers. And then Tirza.
Good evening. I would like to first yield a portion of my public comment in honor of the victims in Israel, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you, Trinice.
Yeah.
Can we restart the timer? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm here in support of many things, but I really want to touch on, before I get into my comments, King County's effort through just denouncing racism and just embracing the fact that racism is a public health crisis. I've been part of a 2-year engagement process that has allotted $25 million to King County nonprofits and businesses here. And as we talk about King County and how we can further partner with them and not really counter the efforts they're making in regards to the homeless community, I want to report that the Pacific Islander Community Association of Washington has received $555,000 through this effort. And in addition to that, the Federal Way Warriors Athletics has received $125,000. So we're talking about what our county is doing for us. We need to understand that King County is absolutely pouring dollars into our community. Moving forward, I'm also part of this participatory budgeting process that's allowing the people to just shifting the power to the people, pretty much. And so through this participatory budgeting process, we're allowing 5 communities, one East Federal Way, primarily unincorporated, to engage in a process where community members can determine the needs and how to spend the dollars. As chair for East Federal Way last year, I approached the city on this effort, and the city declined to engage, citing that the city was not going to use their resources in unincorporated areas. And I don't know if a lot of people know, but we all know that the senior center is actually housed in unincorporated King County. So when we're talking about how we're going to engage and partner with outside sources, we need to understand that our community is definitely benefiting from this. As you know, the MLK food drive through the Diversity Commission has undoubtedly donated many pounds to food to the senior center. So we're talking about contradictory in how we choose to engage, how we choose not to engage. I think it's important that this second round, we're in midsection, where it's actually posted on the cover of Federal Way Mirror if you want to read more about it, but we're actively in the collection phase right now. And so we're talking about if we choose this as a city to engage in this process, I implore you all to really think how we're going to adjust to engagement and how we're going to right or wrong in terms of choosing not to engage. This is something that is not only benefiting our community, but also outside communities. And lastly, I want to just speak on how proud I was to be part of the John Connor efforts. And every time I pass the bus stop from here on out, I can't help but smile. I'm just overjoyed as an African-American young woman, seeing my children, seeing that is a representation. I know it's very small, but it's huge in the eyes of people that really can appreciate and really just find themselves in that effort. So thank you for, lastly, I want to just touch on, I just want to give a quote. We're talking about how can our city council, how can our mayor, how can you all lead with love? I really encourage you to choose to lead with love, right? And I want to just end with a quote from Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So when we're talking about the homeless community, we're talking about how to shift our culture. Please choose to lead with love. Thank you.
Tirza Idahosa.
Hi, Mayor, City Council, community members. I'm Tirza Idahosa. I live in Federal Way. I'm also a diversity commissioner, but I'm speaking as an individual today. I stand before you today with deep concerns for the allocation of valuable city resources. This decision to have the city attorney assigned by the mayor and city council to sit in on all current and future diversity commission meetings raises important questions and about priorities. We acknowledge that the significance of legal counsel in municipality matters. However, we must also consider the content of this decision. The Diversity Commission, a body dedicated to fostering inclusivity and addressing critical community concerns. One concern recently raised by the City Council was that the Diversity Commission abused and mishandled funds. Still today, we have not had a public apology, as that was not found to be true. The commission was also requested by the community to address what appeared to be ethics violations. This report pertains to incidents where community members were permitted to make disparaging and hurtful remarks about the LGBTQ community during the city council meeting, and no one stopped or made them aware that there could be ethics issues bordering on hate speech. The fact that the fact of this thought that this report emerged indicated that the need for the robust dialogue and constructive action, meaning we need to have some communication. Instead of us allowing us to have communication about this matter, the mayor and the city council assigned the attorney to come in and sit in our meetings. That is a major problem because then it causes people not to be able to talk freely. Because once we begin to talk about the issue that the community wants us to talk about as far as ethics violations, the city made an ordinance forbidding the city council to file ethic violations. So this is just something we really need to be aware of. If you want us to do the work that you've assigned us to do, you have to let us do it openly and honestly. The other thing I want to say in my last few minutes is that I also openly want to thank King County Metro for the mural that they put for John and Mary Connor. It's nice that the mayor is saying that now what they're going to do, but the city here, we've been asking for that for at least the last 3 years to acknowledge John and Mary Connor publicly, not on a tree or a trail, but publicly where he can be honored because representation does matter. Thank you.
Kevin Morris, and then Anna Patrick.
Good evening, Mayor and Council President Kochmar, and Deputy Mayor Honda, and council members. In my 48-year career, I had a company that worked in the sporting arms business, and I've had some people come to me over the years and ask questions about gun regulations and gun safety and what could happen if and what if. And I have a question. There's actually two questions that I'm bringing to the, not necessarily the council. I'm bringing the questions to Chief Andy and to Attorney Call. With all of the carjackings, car thefts, break-ins into businesses, break-ins in homes, and considering that there's a tremendous amount of our citizens that legally have concealed carry permits, what would be the action taken if a citizen is approached in his car at a gas station, which happened at Fred Meyer at the gas station, and if somebody is approached with a handgun and you happen to have a concealed carry permit and you own a handgun and that man or woman wants to carjack your car and you discharge the firearm, what action would be taken?
Mr. Morris, go ahead and finish your comments, and then I'll refer you to the right personnel.
Okay. So this goes back now to my concerns, and I've brought this up before, about security in our city. I look at the city blotter on the Federal Mirror. How many car thefts are there per day? Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5. And there was a local business just 2 or 3 days ago that once again had a truck back into their building in an attempt to steal their ATM. So it needs to be addressed. And Chief Wang, I'm proud of these people that you promoted. How many people have you hired? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Well, we've got Commander Buchanan in the back of the room, and with regard to your scenario that you talked about, I'll have him walk through that with you about, and I think I told you I was a prosecutor for 19 years, so there's lawful use of force, and the commander can walk that through with you, and then perhaps, Commander, you can get his email address, and I've got it right here. Let's get him the numbers for the number of officers we've hired. Thank you very much. Okay, Anna Patrick.
Evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council President, Council, and public. So I'm just going to speak to what I heard from some others that have now left the room. A community member brought up a concern about a request by a council member to be notified in advance when there are controversial events in the city so that the council can prepare how to respond to these concerns. That council member had received a large number of emails from community. From the website, it says, the events, I went on the website and looked it up. The event hosts hundreds of people from all around the world who gather under one roof to celebrate our beautiful and diverse community. This night, we get to witness the drag pageantry through a Pacific Islander cultural lens. Miss Island Goddess gives a platform not only to the Fa'afalin, sorry, I pronounced it wrong, community, but all our queer, trans, and gender diverse communities of color. At the bottom of the page, it says, please note this event is an 18+ event and anyone younger needs to have a parent or guardian. With that said, what I heard in that conversation was a respectful but uncomfortable dialogue. The council took the time to share their views, and the council member who brought this up had the opportunity to clarify what they meant. I'd like to share some of my thoughts about these issues that keep coming up in our community. Our community is a meeting point with diverse identities and experiences. It's crucial that we uphold civil rights guaranteed to all citizens in the United States. Both religious status and LGBTQ status are protected under these rights, and finding common ground where these two intersect can be challenging. This calls for thoughtful dialogue. I propose that our city convenes a group of individuals who can engage in respectful conversations to reach a deeper understanding and develop common language that enables us to discuss these issues while respecting each other's beliefs and identities. Often, when people express concerns, there are multiple layers to consider, such as age appropriateness, public visibility, and the right of parents to instill their values in their children. We must also address stereotypes and the real issues of discrimination faced by LGBTQ individuals within our community. It's essential to differentiate between genuine concerns and instances of government overreach, which can sometimes be perceived as imposing values on individuals. Too often, these topics become political tools used to sow discord and division for political gain. This is not responsible governance. We should resist turning these important discussions into political piñatas during election times and instead encourage thoughtful conversations. Different words carry different meanings for various groups, and it's imperative that we take the time to truly understand each other. Let's work together to bridge the gap between differing perspectives and promote a more inclusive and harmonious community. Thank you.
All right, and then I'm going to go back to it's spelled Tamane Tuiana, but in parents it says Tia Monet. Is that individual here? They've submitted it to Pink Sheet. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Then the last one I had is a remote. It's Najma?
Yes, they're on the line, if Thomas will unmute.
Okay. Hi there. You're on. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor. Can you guys hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay. Hi and good evening, everyone. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Chief, and the rest of the council members and community members. I'm here today. Sorry. I'm here today because I'm sorry, my paper just got rattled and you guys can bear with me. I want to first start out by thanking Chief Andy and all of the officers who got promoted and who helped secure our safety and freedoms every day. I want to also include by saying that I'm not perfect, nor do I have a fairy tale belief that any of us are. And I want to be clear that I am not here to offend any one person or individual. But I'm here today because of my love and dedication to the city of Federal Way, and not to just have Federal Way be better, but have Federal Way be better by doing better. That's why I'm voicing my concerns about an interaction that I've had and about the frictions between the federal police and the criminal justice system and the difference of religious obligations, especially regarding religious coverings. In Islam, Muslim women wear hijab because it is considered to be objectionary, and the removal of it is considered or seen as a violation of its values. It's a symbol of our modesty, and it's also gives a symbol of privacy. And for a lot of us who wear a veil, our cultures have deep connections and ties to Islamic traditions, thus being that it has direct connections to my cultural identities. That's why I want to make sure that everyone remembers that the First Amendment of the United States Constitution protects a lot of freedoms, but one of the most important ones is the freedom of religion. And for the past 21 years in my life, I've always believed that me wearing a veil was me exercising that freedom without judgment. But unfortunately, the systematic violations that I faced on April 9th, it made me, for the first time in my life, feel as if I did not have the same civil rights and liberties as the other people of my community, and was felt as if I was completely stripped of my voice. That being said, being a community worker, and I know the importance of the city officials and the city and law enforcement and the public. That's why I reached out and made it clear that I wanted to find a way to make sure that what I've experienced did not happen to anyone. But I was met with denial. I was met with closed doors and was left confused. And I'm here today to ask you, what can we do and how can we not look forward and make sure that this does not happen? And make sure that there is reviewed policies and make sure that our community does not have policies in place which hinder or practices which make it okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any other pink sheets or anybody else?
No, Mayor, I don't have anyone else.
All right, want to thank everybody who commented tonight, and it's the most important part, that's the most important part of our meeting, most important thing we do, so thank you very much. All right, we've got presentations. Item A, proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2023. Deputy Mayor Honda.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Cynthia Ricks-Macaton, Program Manager for St. Francis Hospital, Community Health Department, to the podium, please. And I will read the proclamation. Thank you. Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence is a serious crime that affects people of all races, ages, gender, and income levels. And whereas, according to the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, police respond to about 50,000 domestic violence calls every year in Washington, and approximately 2,100 domestic violence calls every year here in the city of Federal Way. And whereas, even with a significant number of calls responded to by police, 70% of domestic violence that occurs goes unreported. And whereas, although men and children can be victims of domestic violence, it is committed mostly against women and is the leading cause of injury to women between the ages of 15 to 44 in the United States. And whereas children that grow up in a violent home are believed to be abused and neglected at a higher rate than the national average, and children that experience domestic violence are impacted in their education and are more likely to continue the cycle of domestic violence in dating relationships as youth and in adult relationships. And whereas each year medical expenses from domestic violence total at least $5 billion, and businesses forfeit another $100 million in lost wages, sick leave, absenteeism, and non-productivity. And whereas, in response to the prevalence of domestic violence in this community, the Federal Way Domestic Task Force members have been working toward promoting prevention, victim safety, community awareness, and abuser accountability through organization, education, and outreach. Now therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council members of the city of Federal Way, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we urge our citizens to recognize this critical problem facing our entire community, work to prevent domestic violence, increase services to domestic violence victims and their children, and continue efforts to eliminate this crime, which affects all of us in this country, this community, and our state. Signed this 17th day of October, 2023.
I'm going to try to make my comments quick because I need to put this back on. Thank you, Council President Susan Honda. I really appreciate this. On behalf of Virginia Mason Franciscan Health, right over here at one of the greatest hospitals in the Pacific Northwest, St. Francis Hospital, woo! We've been in this business for several decades, addressing domestic violence, sexual exploitation, abuse, and neglect. And we've been a part of the DV task force here in Federal Way for many, many years. And we thank you here to the city for hosting that task force and making sure that different departments within the city was there and present to address and help citizens who might be experiencing domestic violence. We have many, many partners out there, many, many partners to help us address domestic violence. But you know what? We need way more. And so if you want to volunteer, if you want to engage and help some of the most vulnerable people in our community, please reach out. Please reach out, because we need you. We need more organizations at the table addressing this issue, because it just doesn't happen in the community amongst families. It happens in the workplace. It happens with your employees. It happens with the people that you shop with and go on walks with, or when you show up and you're a soccer mom. It happens, and we need to address it. Can you imagine if we eradicate domestic violence, how much better this world would be? So thank you for this proclamation. We're not giving up. We're going to keep at it until we get rid of domestic violence. I always say I'm in health equity work, and my goal is to make sure that people like me aren't needed anymore and those jobs aren't needed, which means there's then equity. We don't have abuse. We don't have neglect. We don't have disparities. So help me get out of working, please. I need your help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Okay, now we're on to Council Committee and Regional Committees report. Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee. Councilmember Walsh.
All right. We met last Tuesday, had a good discussion. Items on the consent agenda, items F, G, and H came out of that committee. Also, we had a very extended discussion about the PAC, which we'll be continuing that discussion later on this evening. Our next committee meeting will be on November 14th, and that is my report. Thank you.
All right, Land Use Transportation Committee, Councilmember Dovey.
Just a couple things to note that I want to thank Keith Nivens and Bill Vedino for providing information about ADUs. We had a presentation this Saturday to the Marine Hills Homeowners Association about the new rules that came out of land use. So I wanted to thank them for providing the information and being part of that meeting. It was very helpful. And I did want to make one note. There was 14,000 pounds of food collected. In perspective, that's 7 tons. That sounds a lot better than 14,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So I just thought
I know, yeah, exactly.
give you that number. And our land use meeting is coming up the first Monday in November. Can't remember the exact date, but one of you probably knows. There's this, the 5th?
I think it's the 6th.
The 5th. We'll have fun here in council on the 5th talking about land use. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Finance, Economic Development, and Regional Affairs Committee, Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our meeting is going to be next Tuesday, October 24, at 5 p.m. in this room. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Councilmember Seffa Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. Our last meeting was really informative and robust. We said goodbye to Kathy, our administrative assistant, and welcomed Juliana. And I think she's going to do great. And what we did was had 2 of our grantees report out on how they spent the money, and one of them was a written letter, and it's from the Elite Productions. But the Pacific Raceway, I brought it up last week, but the $50,000 that we provided them, the return on investment is, we had over 100,000 televised value that we got from it. And then the combined, they had 1.1 million social media reach. And then the hotels here also reported that because of that of the raceway, that there were hotel usage that they reported. And so we look forward to continued relationship with them. And then finance also reported on where LTAC is, that it's still doing good and in a positive. So with that, I end my report. Our next meeting is November 8th at 10 a.m. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. This is from the Senior Advisory Commission. Meals on Wheels program. Frozen home delivered meals are available for persons aged 60 and older who are unable to leave their home or have difficulty shopping or preparing meals. The suggested donation per meal is $3. No eligible participant will be denied meals if unable to make a contribution. Liquid nutritional supplements such as Ensure and Ensure Plus are also available through this program. And you can contact the Meals on Wheels office at 253-835-6903 for more information. Tomorrow, Wednesday, October 18th, is the second Senior Community Connections event, which will be in the Senior Lounge at the Federal Way Community Center. And the address is 876 South 333rd Street here in Federal Way, just up the hill from us. Aaron Packer is our guest, and he will be at a table and will be able to answer any questions you have about Medicaid. Please come and join us for community fellowship, senior networking, and enjoy snacks and coffee. The hours are from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This will be our second Senior Community Connections meeting. The first one, we had 65 people. So we don't know how long, if, we'll just be doing this for a few months and then take a break, or do it every month. The Senior Commission is still discussing that. If you're on a commission and you want me to share anything, I would be more than happy to share it also, as we like to get the word out about what our commissions are doing. This morning I attended the skateboard meeting and we discussed, we had a good discussion on regional safety on the roads. And apparently several cities have applied for money through PSRC to get grants for road safety, because we've had so many accidents lately, pedestrians, bike riders, and car accidents. So they didn't say that we got money, but there were 10 other cities that haven't been provided money, so maybe we're one of those. But it was really interesting to look at the statistics and realize since COVID, what an increase there has been in car accidents, pedestrian accidents, and bicycle accidents of people on the roads. Really very scary. Tomorrow, I have a regional transit committee meeting and a Board of Health meeting on Thursday. So that's it, thank you.
All right, thank you. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to all of the events you've already stated that we went to, I want to just talk about the Mirror, the Federal Mirror, had a coffee and conversations today, and they had a speaker from the Oxford House that I thought was really interesting because they had solutions for people who have addictions. And I personally know of a relative who was in an Oxford House, and you know it works. So I suggested that person contact our Human Services to find out how we might provide grants for them. We're always talking about how we can find ways to provide treatment for individuals in our community. And this Oxford House is a self-sustaining organization that can use grants, but that is being presented by the Lutheran Church all over the nation. And I think it has its issues, but I think it's really worth looking at in the coming year. And I want to say also, one of the other upcoming events that Councilmember McDaniel and I will be attending, and possibly Deputy Mayor Honda, is the Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish County. We'll be having a housing briefing on Thursday morning to talk about, we've been talking about the issues about housing density, detached ADUs, and how to solve the housing crisis and affordability crisis. And so I believe we'll be bringing some information back from that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, now moving on to the consent agenda. These items have gone through committee and can be passed all at once, but after I read them, I'll ask if a council member wants an item pulled for separate consideration. Item A, minutes for the October 3rd, 2023 regular and special meeting minutes. B, on-call sidewalk and curb replacement contract approval to award. C, amend the 2023 right-of-way landscape maintenance contract. D, resolution renewing the Lake Management District Number 1 Advisory Committee for Steel Lake and establishing the duties thereof. E, South 288th Street Road Diet Phase 1, King County Metro Interagency Agreement. Item F, vehicle purchase for Special Investigations Unit. G, purchase of portable surveillance camera trailers. H, parking lot sweeper services 2024 to 2026. Councilor, is there an item you'd want pulled for separate consideration? Council President Kochmar?
Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda items A through H.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The matters pass unanimously. Thank you very much. Item 9, this is the Performing Arts and Event Center venue management contract. We'll have a staff report from Autumn Gressett, Community Relation Liaison and Contract Administrator. Autumn, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmar, and council members. Give me just one moment here and I'll pull up our report. I am Autumn Gressett, Contract Administrator and Community Relations Liaison for the Parks Department. Before you this evening is the PAC Venue Management Contract Renewal with Global Spectrum for approval. A quick history that we've gone over in the September and October meetings, but just to recap, is the Performing Arts and Event Center opened in 2017. We began our contract with Global Spectrum in 2018. And through the last 5 years, we have encountered overall revenue growth, a global pandemic, and then exceeding what even our Blue Ribbon panel proposed that we would do in revenue. And question asked as of last week at October Parks Committee meeting was, is there other cities and venues that are entering into 10-year contracts? Before you on the screen are 10 of the dozens that we found that have entered into 10-year agreements. Of those are City of Tacoma and City of Seattle. And in an email sent to all of the council yesterday, as well as Mayor Farrell, was the 2022 revenue breakdown for your reference. This shows not only a comparison of the Blue Ribbon panel projections, but the 2022 approved budget and then 2022 actuals. We can see here that based on projections, we at the Performing Arts and Event Center have exceeded revenue by about 40%, and next to an approved budget, we have exceeded about 5%. And then 2023 revenue breakdowns. We discussed these at both the September and October Parks Committee meetings, but to bring you updated numbers, I have 2023 actuals as of August 31st and then projections from September through December. These equal about 1.5 million. That will equate to about a 30% revenue surpass, which was the approved budget of 1.2. You can see here that's primarily being found in the food and beverage categories as well as event space revenue. And with that and some finance discussion, I'm going to turn it over to Steve Groom for a few other comments.
Thank you. How do I, can I move that?
While he looks at that, I want everybody, of course, I want to let the public know and council knows that Brian Hoffman, who runs the PAC, is present here. Thank you, Brian, for being here. Thank you for your work. How many years has it been now? 5 years. All right.
I offered to include some context. Autumn just showed you a lot more numbers than I have the courage to. In context of the Performing Arts Center, what's on the city's finances that we see every month that I bring to FedRec and then is approved later by council, we only see the revenue lines. We get monthly reports from the management company it's Oakview Group. I can learn the new acronym. They send us monthly reports, and we take those and we journalize them, and we get them into the city's finance system, which ends up being part of our audited financials. We only show one line of expenses, and that is because we have the amount that we give to the Oakview Group, and they manage all the details. That shows up in the Performing Arts Center Fund. We also, what doesn't show up, and what they don't manage is the debt. We have debt in our debt fund, and we also have capital expenditure planning. And I know that somebody up here is going to ask, so I am just going to go ahead and, if I can click. There is the amount of debt that we still have on the Performing Arts Center. I know somebody is going to ask. From 2023 down to 2029, we have some general obligation debt. It's about $500,000 of a payment. The payment's about $500,000 per year. And then there is a debt issue that used to be a HUD loan that we converted, and that continues on through 2035. So that is the existing debt, and you can see somebody's going to ask how much the current debt level is, and it's $5.6 million. Currently owed on the Performing Arts Center. And what that means is after 2029, the city will have less of an expense. We will have the debt extinguished on the large part. We can then start thinking about capital expenditure planning, but that is for budget discussions in the future. What is not in the city's financials are the theater and event detail expenses. I mentioned that on our financials, we only have one expense line. It's the amount that we give to Oakview Group. On their financials, they manage stuff that we don't do the detail of: event catering, audio visual, cleaning, security services, equipment rental, advertising, pest control, landscaping, equipment maintenance. You get the idea. 42 varieties of supplies, and I just made up that number. Utilities, personnel, salaries. They have a staff of 7, and it varies from 15 to 35 part-time. They also have corporate resources, and they also have industry training. And the reason I care about that is because when it comes to budget discussions, I am looking for them to give us capital planning advice, because their firm manages not just our Performing Arts Center, but they bring expertise in managing others. I'm sure that's why we have them. I wanted to tie this to what you see on our monthly financial reports. This is just a piece. It's, I don't know, page 7 or 8 every month in the monthly financials. The revenues are right there. And what's interesting there is there's a story there, and I'm not the one to tell it, but I just want to point out that every month we can see the revenues back in 2017 and 2018. They were $300,000 and $500,000. Bumped up in 2019 to 1.4 million. Then COVID happened, went down to 600,000. Every year since then, the revenue has been up in the neighborhood of 1-point-something million. The current year budget is 1.3. There is we show the expenses, and there is a story to tell there. There's a similar roller coaster. However, the line just above it, that is the amount that we transfer from the general fund. And that is, what we call the subsidy. Same thing that we do with the Dumas Space Center, same thing that we do the community center. And that's a policy decision that it's often a budget discussion. Do we want to keep prices low? Do we want to maximize citizen engagement? Is it an overall economic benefit to the entire economy? To do that, that's probably why we built it. So with that, I will point out on the matter of subsidy, I have a personal opinion that it is an overall economic benefit to the entire city. When we budget achievable revenues and expenses, it does improve the bottom line, the fund balance for our Performing Arts Center on our books. I also brag about this Performing Arts Center as it's the anchor that the city has that has jump-started the town center property, so I want to make sure that I'm speaking very positively while we're in discussions on that. Also, I have expressed irritation to the mayor before that Chick-fil-A and Black Bear Diner use the Space Needle in their artwork, and they're here in our city. And the one city asset I think is iconic enough to feature in my credit rating presentations and on the cover of my budget is the Performing Arts Center. So that's my attempt at humor. I wanted to add the financial context, and with that, I will step aside. I'll be here for part of the questions.
Thank you, Steve. And as Mayor Farrell mentioned, Brian Hoffman, General Manager for Global Spectrum over at the Performing Arts and Events Center, is with us this evening. He will be presenting on the renewal terms and the remainder of the contract before we open up for questions.
Welcome, Brian.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. As Autumn has mentioned, we've been in front of you the past couple of months, a couple of times. As we presented, here you can see the renewal terms on the screen, where 10-year deal, it gives us the continued dedication and success for the city of Federal Way with the investment of the $200,000 that will be mutually agreeable to be used at the PAC. And when I say mutually agreeable, between Global Spectrum and the city. We just want to continue to have that partnership. It has been a wonderful partnership. I have been here all 5 years since day one, August 1st, 2018. And it has been wonderful to work with the entire city and continue that partnership moving forward. Within those 5 years, we have had challenges. We have had a lot of questions, and we have taken the feedback that we have received from this council in regards to our metrics, and we have adapted them and implement them into this new 10-year deal that we would like to move forward with. It's your facility. We are transparent with everything, and we take the advice, the feedback, both good and or bad, hopefully more good than bad, but that's what we do. We have the resources that are bar none to our competition, and to continue to put this facility and Federal Way in the entertainment district name, and having those conversations with the live entertainment industry where we're at. So we look forward to a long-standing partnership with the city of Federal Way, and happy to answer any questions or anything else that any of you have for me in regards to the PAC and Global Spectrum.
Thank you, Brian. Autumn, do you have anything to close with as well? And thank you for being here tonight, Brian. Maybe just stay close to the, go ahead.
The last slide that we had tonight was just highlighting the questions from our October Parks meeting in regards to the 30-day written notice out clauses that have been included in the, not only the original contract, but the new contract with Global Spectrum. And with that, if there's any questions, we're happy to answer them.
So I know that at committee there were concerns as we discussed, and we talked with you and Jason, and there were concerns about the length of 10 years. I see that you have gone back, and council received a communication via email that perhaps they would be even open to a 5-year term, and obviously the council will ask about that and vote on that. The other issue is if council doesn't approve this, can you explain what you explained in your email about the remaining option of 5 years if council can't come to an agreement tonight.
Correct. There is essentially in the email 3 options before you. The original proposed agreement, which has a 10-year term and a $200,000 contribution. We did enter into renegotiations with Global Spectrum over the last week, and they are open to talking about a 5-year term with an additional 5-year extension. Brian can speak a little bit more to the contribution that may come with that type of contract. If neither one of those is a council vote this evening, there's a third option to just renew and amend the existing contract for an additional 5 years. There is language within that, and it was the option 3 given to you, that wouldn't come with any contribution or updated performance metrics. However, it would keep our contract existing and move us past the end of the year.
All right, wanted to make sure we reiterated that. Okay, so let's open it for questions. Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, Brian, quick question to you. One of the big concerns that we do have is we've, I think, come to the conclusion that this will never be a financial windfall for the city. But our main concern right now is bleeding and stopping the bleeding. And I have a question for some of the other city employees that I emailed earlier that I hope they got. And right now, if I understand what I read correctly in the briefing they sent over, is our city support is about 1.1 million budgeted for it. Right now, it sounds like you guys are crushing revenue streams or budgeted recommendations for revenues. But even with crushing those numbers, we still have that massive amount. Is it realistic to get an additional $750,000 worth of revenue into there to bring it down to maybe a realistic $250 a year for support? Or what is it? And I know you can't really magic ball it, but I mean, realistically, you've been here 5 years, you kind of see what's going on. Is there any kind of insight you can give us on that?
Yeah, I will take, answer that, and then, our partners here will kind of jump in. But yes, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other factors that are, beyond our control to get that. But that's what we strive for every day when we go to work, is to minimize that. We have and continue to minimize and reduce that subsidy from the hemorrhaging as you state. So I think as we continue to move forward, and that's what we do. That's what we have continually done over the past 5 years and are projected to do this year and moving forward. So I'll let Autumn or Jason chime in as well.
Yeah, and so part of that, in the review, and you'll see on the slides differing from kind of the previous 2 months, is we included the blue ribbon panel and kind of the performa that was outlined for the Performing Arts and Event Center when we decided to build it. And in that performa, it shows a missing leg of the stool that was to kind of prop the Performing Arts and Event Center up. And that was a nonprofit arm or something similar to a foundation that raised private funds to the tune of about $700,000. It depended on the year, and the slides correlate. But that is something that Autumn has been working with and trying to start that process up and jumpstart that so that we can bring that down. Because if you look at everything to the blue ribbon panel and that performa, we're hitting it and meeting it. That nonprofit and that fundraising portion is what's missing. And so if we can work to generate that, that would be our next step to get closer to that true performance.
Have you been working on that for the last 5 years, since it was the blue ribbon when we started, or is that just something that's now being started up?
No, sir. As part of the contract negotiations, contract liaison, Autumn Gressett kind of dug deep, and she spoke to other performing arts centers in the region and outside the region that have a similar arm to that and have been successful to make that happen and reduce that those cost burdens to the municipality running the organization.
Okay, so was that, that wasn't even one of my questions, is that nonprofit group, was that part of an original mindset, or was that something that just came up that we are now trying to implement?
That was identified in the performa. That was a piece of this whole pie being the Performing Arts and Event Center that hasn't been engaged.
From the beginning, the conception,
From the
right?
beginning, correct.
Okay, we just haven't made any, we haven't gotten to that till now?
Like I say, that was,
Okay.
I wasn't involved on the initial on that, but like I say, we are working, we're hearing your concerns.
Gotcha.
We're trying to respond to it. We're trying to understand and meet the performance that and those expectations that were set out for us. And so in that discovery, that's where it's at. We have a foundation. They're just not necessarily interested in that type of work.
I gotcha. I got two quick questions then for you guys, and actually, I'm just going to read part of my email I sent out. I hope you guys got it. And this is something that we think, at least I do, and I know some of the people up here who sit and think about, is currently, the following city assets require city support or subsidy, whatever term you want to use, to continue to operate. The amount of support for the 2023 is listed in the brief at around $2.85 million. As a city, we have a $4 million plus maintenance facility to build, a potential $4 million plus new city hall, and possibly a financial shortfall if interest rates continue to stay the same or increase. Not to mention the Art Commission just requested an increase of their budget too. So with all that thing going into play, if we are required as a city to decrease support by between $500 or $1 million from that 2.8, my question is, and this is something we have to think about from you guys, is where would you guys cut? Which one of these locations or which one of these is most important? Dumas Bay, Community Center, the PAC, or Celebration Park? I mean, those are the questions that we're going to have to think about and ask, and I'm curious, do you guys have an answer for those?
Well, that's not where it would all go. I'll tell you right now, I write in conjunction with the finance director, I proposed the budget to the council, and that's not how we'd go about it. We wouldn't take the marquee and the key service delivery components of the city and put them on a chopping block. I would say, number one, because of our finance director, we generated $3 million more of revenue from just reinvesting our money. We are also not in a position in which we're any kind of deficit. We're hiring new officers. Our budget has never been better. So we're not, I think it's critical to note that while we have normal debt. Just keep in mind, this was a $33 million facility that we only had to finance $5 million of. That's unheard of in a city. This thing will be paid off this decade. And we only had to finance $5 million out of $33 million, of which $5 million was given to the city. So this is really about, this is a business decision, obviously, but if we had any kind of deficit, we wouldn't cut from the community center, Dumas Bay, and the PAC. We have a $350 million two-year biennial budget. $350 million. So if we don't have, number one, we don't have a shortfall. Number two, we wouldn't cut our marquee service delivery organizations and service delivery in our community that our community supports. So we just wouldn't do that, and we don't have to do that. We're not in that position.
Where would you cut, though?
Cut what? We don't need to.
I'm just saying, this is a hypothetical. I'm just curious you just made a comment, so I'm just curious for you, if those four would be off the table.
So how much would you anticipate a hypothetical, hypothetical is that we would need to come up with $500,000, which we don't, but if we had to come up with $500,000, I think what we would do is take a look, we would scan the budget in each department, and I would tell each department to come up with maybe $75,000 or $100,000, which would be easily accomplishable.
Across the board kind of cut?
Yeah, I'd tell, just like we do every year, when we put together the budget and the comprehensive budget, one of the first things we do is we get requests from each department before they come and see you. And we go line by line and we say, no, yes, no, and we go through it. And this isn't about balancing the budget. The entire conversation is whether we would pull, we tried to do this by ourselves initially. We tried to DIY, we do it yourself. That didn't work. And we are really, as a city, tremendously fortunate that we got Spectra, now Oakview Group, to come to our rescue. And if we were to dump this organization, that would be shooting ourselves in the foot in a tremendous way.
And if I could add to that, Councilmember, this is a policy decision that, like the mayor says, every biennium when we do the budget, that's when we evaluate how much we are going to subsidize the Performing Arts Center, and it's in the budget. They're performing to it, and they have an incentive to exceed that. So right now, we're hitting the budget, and the city is in balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Councilmember Adobe, then Councilperson Kirsch.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You done?
that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think I'll make questions along then.
All right, Councilmember Adobe.
So I have a couple questions, and this is for Steve Groom, first of all. If you could pull up that chart, which is the first time I ever have seen that I can remember.
This one?
No, the one with the debt repayment, the little one that popped up on the side.
Yes, sir.
So if I read that, really the differential that we have going on this whole project is the debt repayment. Is that correct?
By differential, I'm not sure I follow.
We're paying 772,000 this year for debt repayment, and then it keeps going, and in 2035, we have zero.
Right, right.
And I'm not sure why it's higher in the beginning and then drops so low. Maybe we have a balloon payment or
Two
something.
different debt pieces, I've added them
But
together.
when I look at this Performing Arts Center, it's one of those crucial municipal projects that you just don't say, hey, we're not going to do it, because you're really financing the good of the whole community. Not everybody uses it, but it's one of those things that if you were playing SimCity, you'd get points for. So anyway, back in the day, everybody played that. You know, you build a community center and the little Sims say, yeah.
That's what got you on council.
But, and the discussion the thing I have with, I don't like 10-year contracts for anything. In my business, to me, that's like dumb, because things change, and that's why I'm advocating a 5 and a 5. I mean, hopefully, everybody goes 10 years, but you got to have a wiggle room to get out if something goes bad.
Put some incentive in there, right.
Yeah, but if we didn't have that debt, your budgets would look like no subsidy at all, or very close to zero. And if this association that's supposed to raise money for performing arts centers, and you added those two together, you'd be revenue neutral, probably. If you didn't have a debt service, took it out, because that's in the budget, right?
More.
The budget, that's not in the operating, the debt service?
Yes, but there's more than that.
It's more than what's sitting up there?
That's what got us constructed. That's the construction of the facility finishing out through, once that's all paid off, then it's constructed. Well, you know, there's some future capital replacement type stuff, but
Right.
that's future budgets, but I can agree with what you said.
But that's a big piece of what is being subsidized in the budget. Is it not?
Say it one more time.
The 700,000 that we pay every year to pay down the $5 million capital, in 2035, just like when you buy your house, when you pay it off, you get a raise, because you're no longer making payments.
Put another way, if we had had a built facility drop from the sky that we didn't have to pay for, we would not have the debt service, and that equates to what.
And your budget, the other line would be different, because you wouldn't be paying for
Looking
debt
at the whole city picture, I can agree with that.
Well, in 2029, the big payment would be gone, and then all we'd have left is the HUD payment, you know, less than
Correct.
200,000 a year.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Council President?
So my understanding is that this year we're going to subsidize it at 911,000 subsidy, correct?
The current year budget has got $1.1 million.
And 1.1?
Yeah, yes.
But we were budgeting 911 somewhere, but, okay, 1.1.
Yeah, they,
And then there's the 777,000 per year for the, because that's different for the bond.
right.
And then there's the 3 million that's still outstanding, not all of 3 million, but 3 million less.
If you add up what's
on the-
left, yeah.
On the, which is a couple $100,000 per year that we borrowed from Human Services for 10 years.
Yeah,
That's 200,000 a year.
That's
That
all
part of the
included.
7.7?
That's included in the 700,000.
Okay, so
It'd be-
it's
yeah.
7.7 plus the 1.1. Okay, so we're really looking at 1.8. So, you know, I know that we're subsidizing, and I don't have anything against the management at all, none whatsoever, thank you. Okay, so here's the big picture. Of course, we've talked about this, Steve. It's about not just the PAC, it's also the community center that we also lose money on, and we expect to lose money on that, how much we lose on that every year. Celebration Park, which is running about 360,000 per year, and we take in about 50 for revenue. And then there's the O&M facility that's going to cost us 40 million or thereabouts, which we don't really know for sure if that's going to be. And then there's Dumas Bay, okay? And then on top of that, we're talking about a $50 million or thereabouts at City Hall. So my concern really is we have a lot of moving parts with a total amount that I'm concerned about because we're going into recession. So my only suggestion, and I would support a 5-year contract, my only suggestion is, can't we do more marketing? And this would be for the PAC folks. More marketing or something to fill that place up more on a regular basis. We have some events that come in and they're very popular, but more and more. How do we get more events in there? It's not that big to have big events, but it's a beautiful facility and I think it's certainly marketable. Perhaps, I saw in the contract it said 4 weddings per year, but I think we could get more than 4 weddings. But I'm just saying, how do we lower that
Well,
subsidy?
we've built a budget, and the amount of revenue that doesn't cover the expenses, that's by design. All of these things won't survive in the private sector. If they were profitable, the private sector would do them. That's why government does them, and that's why they're an amenity to all of our citizens. And we try to keep the prices low so that it serves the most amount of citizens.
I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
that, Steve. My only problem is,
Yeah.
you know, at some point, I was in the legislature when
Mm-hmm.
City of Spokane declared bankruptcy, and the legislature
Yeah.
bailed them out because they had built a parking garage for a retail, something like Pike Place Market down, or Pike Street Garage
Right.
downtown. So, and they said at that time they weren't going to bail out any more cities. There were 2 cities that had gone bankrupt then. So my concern is just to be not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, just to be frugal and just to be
Sure.
concerned about the bottom line.
One of the tools that we use, and you private sector business people will appreciate this, we want to align the incentive of the management company with us. There is an incentive in the contract because we pay it out. If they exceed their revenue and they manage to the expenses, the fund balance grows and we share them, so they have an incentive to help us. And I think that's an aligning tool
My last
that is
question
in
is,
place.
thank you. My last question was, you just explain option B, exactly what option B means. That's the 5-year.
Option B is simply a 5-year term with a renewal option in there of an additional 5 years that we would enter into unless there is deep concern from council after 5 years that they're not performing to their qualitative or quantitative metrics. Examples, not hitting revenue goals, not meeting the type of metrics for types of events, diversified events. Those conversations would come much sooner than the 5 years, but with that 5 and 5 option, there would be an adjustment to the contribution. And that's something that Brian can talk to a little bit. The initial contribution was $200,000 up front that we can use for capital. And so those are really the only 2 differences between the current contract in front of you and what would be negotiated if you move forward with a 5 and 5.
All right. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. So the foundation, as it currently is, are they ready to step forward and to start raising the funds that that we were expecting them to do all along? I know that they had their fundraiser Saturday, but it's going to require much more than one fundraiser a year.
You are correct, Deputy Mayor. I can't speak for the foundation or on behalf of them, as they have their own voice. However, there is conversations, and there's been deep research that we've started, especially as we negotiated with Global Spectrum, and I anticipate that we'll be able to bring you more answers closer to the new year with that. But I need to let them speak on their behalf with what they're engaged in, and so at this time, I can't give you an exact answer, but we'll be coming forth in the next few months.
Okay. And the building is, what, 7 years old now? 8 years old?
6.
6.
6?
It was opened in 2017.
Okay.
August.
As it gets older, it will need repairs and maintenance, as any building does. How is that covered in this contract, or is it not? That would just be a city responsibility?
Yes. That's our,
Part of the venue management contract is Brian and his staff, they handle the maintenance. Now, if there's big issues or a large capital expense that occurs, they submit that through finance, and it's our building, we own it. We can't hold them accountable and expect out of their operating costs to pay for the maintenance of our building, right? And so, although there have been many times where Brian has done just that, he has taken operations money and made the repair or the fix. And so, we're gonna get to where you're gonna have things going out on HVAC, and you're gonna have a $25,000 repair. And that's where there's gonna need to be a conversation between the finance department, Parks, and Oakview Group to figure that out, find that shortfall, because ultimately, it's a city resource, and you can't penalize them on their contract for repairing our building. The one thing that I can say is, we don't have enough maintenance staff. We are facing a huge maintenance backlog, and I have utter and complete confidence that Brian is maintaining that building as well or better than we could be right now. And so we did actually have a large HVAC repair that needed to be done. He consulted with us, and the repair was made.
So, I know we have a list of what repairs need to be made in all of the city-owned buildings. Because Parks maintains our buildings, do you go through the pack on a regular basis just to make sure that, do you have a working list of what might need to be repaired in the next 5-10 years? So that we have some kind of an idea?
We've got an idea, but do I have that list in front of me and
I
be able
don't
to
need to
recite
know
it?
it now.
I don't,
Yeah.
but yes, we are keeping a tally.
Okay, I don't need to know it now, I'm curious. Okay. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other buttons on, Councilmember Walsh, do you have a motion?
Yes.
It's either option A or option B.
So, option B is the one that I think that we'll have the council consenting to. I move to authorize staff to negotiate a contract with Global Spectrum with a 5-year term with the option to extend an additional 5 years and authorize the mayor to execute that contract.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, stop. Hold on. Deputy Mayor.
The $200,000 that came with the 10-year contract, how does that work into this?
That's right.
Negotiation time.
Brian.
So with the $200,000, it will be, once the contract is signed, we'll initiate that $200,000 and amortized over 10 years. If we are not renewed after 5 years, the city would pay back the $100,000.
Half of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Just in the nick of time.
That's me.
That's right. All right. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brian, Autumn, Jason,
Thank you.
Steve. Okay, let's move on to item B, Department of Commerce Climate Planning Grant Authorization to Apply. Evan Lewis, Senior Planner.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Kochmar, Deputy Mayor Honda, and council members Aceba Dawson, Dovey, McDaniel, Tran, and Walsh. This is a request for grant authorization. Share the full screen there. A request for grant authorization. Policy question is whether City Council should authorize staff to submit an application to the Washington State Department of Commerce for a climate planning grant. There's no local match requirement. If awarded this grant, the resulting contract would come before council, and it would be a performance-based contract. So we'd be paid upon completion of deliverables in the scope of work that we agree to with Department of Commerce. The grant would support the city's compliance with House Bill 1181, and that was passed this year. 1181 sets new climate change and resiliency planning requirements that cities like Federal Way would have to incorporate into our comprehensive plans by the year 2029. We're specifically requesting this grant to support the city's development of a hazard mitigation plan by the year 2025. Federal Way's hazard mitigation plan would be an annex to the King County Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan, and Federal Way's emergency manager would lead up that hazard mitigation plan development effort in coordination with King County's update to the Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. A FEMA-approved hazard mitigation plan can help meet these new House Bill 1181 resiliency requirements when that hazard mitigation plan is incorporated into our comprehensive plan. And it also makes the city eligible for various federal hazard mitigation grants. So this is really a dual purpose planning effort to both meet the new House Bill 1181 requirements and also to ensure the city's eligible for federal hazard mitigation grants. The deadline for applying is October 31st, and the mayor's recommendation is authorization to submit an application for the climate planning grant.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Dovey?
I just have one question. How much is the grant for?
We anticipate a $100,000 grant request. Still refining that, but likely a $100,000 request. And I will note, our emergency manager, I think, is on the line if there were specific questions about the hazard mitigation plan.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cepheus, I see your light on, or is that just, okay, all right. Okay, Councilmember Dover, do you have a motion?
Yeah, I move to authorize the staff to apply for the Department of Commerce Climate Planning Grant funding.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you, Evan. Good job. All right, item 10, first reading. Item A, Council Bill 862, Highline Water District Franchise Ordinance. We will have a staff report from Cole Elliott, Development Services Manager. Cole?
I'm blind. Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council President, members of the council. I come forward to bring forth the Highline Water franchise for your consideration. The policy question is, should the city grant Highline a franchise to install, operate, maintain, repair a water distribution system within the city? Highline has requested a franchise in order to continue providing the service. The franchise is for 10 years with 2 5-year extensions possible. The work will be guaranteed through performance and maintenance bonds, and the insurance is consistent with the city standards. Whoops, why did it go that way? Okay. Basically, this is the Highline District itself. Our city limits are outlined in orange. Their district is outlined in the green. The intersection area, basically around Star Lake, is where we're talking about. Highline itself has about 18,800 connections in 7 cities, unincorporated King County and the port. Currently, within the city, there are about 263 connections. The council options are to approve the franchise ordinance or not to approve it and provide us with some direction. The mayor recommended approval, and Land Use and Transportation moved it forward to the first reading tonight. So if, any questions?
Council, any questions? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. 263 connections are 263 households?
263 connections, some of them are commercial and therefore multifamily.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Council President?
I'm just curious, do you know how much Highline is going to owe for the,
No, ma'am, I don't enter into the realms with Steve and Chase, sorry.
I wish them well.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, any other questions? Okay, is there any public comment?
There's no one signed up, Mayor.
All right. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 862, Highline Water District Franchise Ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, granting Highline Water District a non-exclusive franchise to occupy rights-of-way in the City of Federal Way, Washington, within the specified franchise area for the purposes of constructing, maintaining, operating, replacing, and repairing a public water system within and throughout the City of Federal Way.
All right. Councilmember Dovey?
Yeah, I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the November 8th, 2023 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you. Item B, Council Bill 863, establishing the time of payment, interest, and penalties to be imposed on delinquents' annual special assessment for Lake Management District Number 1, Steel Lake. First, we'll have a staff report from Kevin Dew, our Surface Water Quality Program Supervisor. Kevin?
Thank you, Mayor. Let's get this all set up. Here we go. Awesome. All right, good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council President, and Council members. I'm here to present on the ordinance presenting on here on time of payment for delinquent assessments for Steel Lake Management District. And the policy question is, should council adopt the ordinance establishing the time payment and interest and penalties for delinquent annual assessments for the Steel Lake Management District? And just here's a quick overview of the renewal process to date. Basically started with petition, public hearing, which led to a calling of vote, majority in favor of renewing the district. And then this portion is basically going over setting the assessment roll. How we had public hearing about setting the assessment roll, and then we passed a resolution confirming and approving that. And now we're establishing the time and payment and resolution, time and payment, interest and penalties for delinquent assessments. And then we just consented and approved for the resolution for the advisory committee. And so just a little background on the annual assessments that they're billed annually by King County assessors. We send them a list. They send it to the they send it to the property owners, and then as they pay based on property type, single family, vacant, or multifamily, and then the annual revenue funds LMD activities approved by the advisory committee. And so in this ordinance, basically is going over the delinquent assessments, and the deadline to pay will be May 10th of each year. If they don't pay by that day, they will be delinquent. The interest of 1% per month and the penalty of 5% of the assessment, which is the minimum allowed by the RCW, and then they'll have an automatic lien on their property. And if they do not pay for over 3 years, they will, King County may begin foreclosure proceedings on their property. And so the next steps will be forwarding this to the second reading, and then we'll also be sending out the letters for appointments of the to apply to be part of the advisory committee, where they will be interviewed and appointed before council on December 5th during the special council meeting. And so the options considered here are to forward this to the second reading or to now adopt the ordinance. The mayor recommends option 1. Any questions?
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. And in the past, how many property owners have been delinquent on their fees?
Oh, like any delinquents?
Yeah.
Every year we have some delinquents. I can't say a number. I'll have to check.
Okay. Do they go for the 3 years before King County does anything?
I haven't seen any go past 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Fortunately.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Stay close. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title? I'm sorry. Is there
No.
any public comment?
No public comment, Mayor.
Okay. Now would you please read the ordinance title?
Sure. Council Bill 863, establishing the time of payment, interest, and penalties to be imposed on delinquent annual special assessment for Lake Management District Number 1, Steel Lake. An ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, establishing the time of payment, interest, and penalties to be imposed on delinquent annual special assessments for Lake Management District Number 1 for Steel Lake.
Councilmember Dovey?
Yes, I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the November 8th, 2023 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right. Item C, Council Bill 864, Development Agreement Code Amendments, a staff report from Keith Niven, Community Development Director.
Sorry. Clearly late and clearly out of practice. Good evening, Mayors, Council President Kochmar, Deputy Mayor Honda, and City Council Keith Niven, Community Development Director. Sorry that took way too long. So this evening, we have a proposed code amendment to our development agreement code. The policy question in front of the City Council is, should the City Council amend Title 19 of the Federal Way Revised Code to update the processes and provisions relating to development agreements? The timing for this proposed code amendment is, I think, very apropos, given the fact that we're currently negotiating a development agreement with Trent for TC3. There is a development agreement amendment for Wild Waves in the queue, and then there's also a potential development agreement for Kids Corner. So lots of development agreements coming our way, and this was an opportunity to get the code right before we get all those development agreements in front of the City Council. So what is in the ordinance? In 1985-010, we're adding language to clarify that the purpose includes greater predictability and flexibility to a developer, and that for all code departures, there's a benefit given the city. In 1985-020, add a minimum requirement of 5 acres and not predominantly single family. The purpose for this particular amendment is, one, to make sure we're not dealing with really small developments, because development agreements take a lot of staff time. And so we wanted them to be of a particular size, and we also really didn't want to be talking about single-family subdivision plats. That really isn't the purpose for development agreements. 1985-020, where a comprehensive plan amendment is required with a development agreement, that the comprehensive plan amendment or amendments must be decided by the council at least one meeting prior to the development agreement if it is related to Chapter 3, which is transportation. And the reason for this particular amendment is a lot of the stuff in Chapter 3 of the city's comprehensive plan related to transportation is very analytically based, and wanting to have those conversations first before the council talks about changing things for a particular project as it relates to a development agreement. In 1985-030, we want to be clear that a development agreement can modify city regulations. In 1985-030, that a development agreement can vest traffic impact fees to those in effect at the time of execution for 10 years, subject to CPI inflation. And again, this addresses that predictability part for developers. If you're going to enter into a development agreement, a contract for 10, 20, 30 years, you want at least 10 years of predictability so that you know what the costs are going to be associated with development. 1985-030, a development agreement cannot modify transportation concurrency. We can talk about that if you have questions. So public comments. We received a number of public comments from Merlone Geyer. I think they have visions for a development agreement sometime soon, so they felt like this was something they wanted to provide us comments on. And then Grand Peaks is the potential developer looking at Kids Corner. At the Planning Commission hearing, we had no in-person comments. The decision criteria are in your staff report. They have all been met. And Planning Commission's recommendation was to, one of the proposed amendments by Merlone Geyer was that the mayor could initiate a development agreement. The Planning Commission was concerned that that seemed like that was not a very transparent process, so they asked for some public noticing to be added. We got to LUTC, and there was a request not to allow the mayor to start a development agreement, so that got taken out of the ordinance. I think no offense to you, Mr. Mayor. And then the recommendation from the mayor is to approve option 1, which is to send this to second reading.
Even without me, that's fine. Fine, whatever.
It was not personal, I promise.
Exactly.
Any questions?
Exactly. Thank you. Questions, council? Okay. My feelings aren't hurt. Don't worry about me. Council President?
Thank you. Yeah, we're not worried about you, Mayor, but.
Very good.
Okay. We're just, hey, Merlone Geyer, with the comments, can you tell us what it is he's asking for in relation to a developer agreement?
So they have not submitted one yet, Council President. They have kind of been circling the drain for the past couple years in terms of talking about, and wanting to think about redeveloping their property. I think most of you have at least been shared a vision that they shared with us, at least. See, I've been here for 2 years now, so it was 2 years ago where they were kind of basically saying, we'll take out the mall from Amazon Fresh to Target and put kind of multifamily in that area, keep all the pads around the edges. I don't know that that is still what they're thinking. They have not brought anything into us yet. They've talked to Tanya quite a bit about wanting to start something. And they have been very active in both the code amendments for City Center, which is coming to you guys next month, as well as these development agreement code amendments. So I think they're getting close. Just hasn't come across the threshold yet.
Council, any other comments? Do we have any public comment?
No comments, Mayor.
Okay. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 864, Development Agreement Code Amendments, an ordinance of the City of Federal, Washington relating to amendments to Chapter 1985 Federal Revised Code Development Agreements, amending Federal Revised Code 1985-010, 1985-020, 1985-030, 1985-050, 1985-060, 1985-070, 1985-080, 1985-090, 1985-110, 1985-120, 1985-130, 1985-140, 1985-150, 1985-160, 1985-180, 1985-190, 1985-200, and 1985-210.
All right, Councilmember Dovey.
Yes, I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the November 8th, 2023 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second?
Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Council reports, it's the second meeting of the month. We'll start with position number 7. Councilmember Dovey.
I have no report.
Very good. Councilmember Walsh.
The only thing I'd like to comment on, another a great community asset, somebody in the community that has done a tremendous amount of work, Evelyn Castellar and her husband Jose. They founded a clinic and a school down in Honduras. It's all under the program of Proyecto Honduras. So it's Federal Way based. Week before last, they had a great fundraiser. And they raised a substantial amount of money for it. I had the opportunity to be the MC and auctioneer for it, and it went very well. And they are remarkable people. Evelyn deserves some type of recognition someday on the job that they have done, helping Federal Way, people of Federal Way do good, not only here, but across the world.
That's great. Did they have you sing?
This time I did not sing. So.
Exactly. All right, thank you. And thanks for your work on that. Councilor Tran?
Mayor, I don't have any report. However, I do want to make a comment, if I may.
Of course.
I know that it's not our practice to respond to public comments, but I do feel the need for me to respond to one of the speakers tonight where this person accused some former council members that served on this council in the past, perhaps myself included, regarding the defund the police. So I want to set the record straight. Because those former council members are no longer able to respond to these false allegations from the public. So I want to defend them on their behalf. We did talk about police accountability, de-escalation tactics. We did talk about how to build better relationship between our police department and the community. But at no time in the past that these council members talk about defunding the police. So I want to make sure the record reflect that. So, I hope whoever tried to spread those rumors out, I'm here to say that please look at the record, watch the tapes, and I don't appreciate, the false allegation. So with that, I end my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember McDaniel.
A couple items. This weekend, we had a tournament down in the Puyallup Fairgrounds, and it was jiu-jitsu kids and adults. And I I've competed for many years, and I learned something new this year from somebody else, and you don't lose, you learn. And I thought that was an interesting comment. I had, a lot of competitions, and I always thought it was you win or you get beat if you try 100%, but it's not, you don't get beat, you learn. And I thought it was an interesting thing. Another side one is one of the yoga studios I go to is actually offering a 2 weeks free unlimited membership for anybody who wants to try it. Elevate over by the Pack, so they're right across the street from there. That gentleman, Adam, I had told you guys about, the homeless guy, I went by on Thursday and he cleaned up his mess, so I will be shooting an email out and I will be seeing what I can do for that guy. And the last item is lights at the community center. There's quite a few out, and it's pretty dark at night when we leave, and I see a lot of people around. I count at least 7 lights out, so.
In the parking lot?
In the parking lot. So, I mean, that was something I'd like to get
Jason?
taken care of.
Yeah, and we've had several members of our inclusion program bring that up. Councilmember Sepa Dawson brought that up. Staff is currently working to get the lamps replaced with the lamps out, and then we're going to reassess whether or not there's a need to do more. A couple of those fixtures, as well as the lamps being changed out, we are going to switch over to LED lights. But the concern is about the driveway. We only have one bucket truck in the city, so it's a little bit about scheduling, a little bit about getting parts, but we are actively working on it. I've also had a citizen, Deshaun, he's contacted me, and so I'm committed to trying to get this done as promptly as possible, supply chain, some other things, and we will communicate back to all those who let us know that there is a problem, that it's been corrected, and if it's not fully corrected by the replacing of the lamps, then we're going to take the next steps of, do we need to add some additional fixtures or another mast off of one of the light poles, something to that extent.
It's not just the light, the whole lamp then is being replaced?
No, so in a couple instances, yes, we're converting a couple to LED, that it was the fixtures were bad, we knew, just had them on the shelf, just hadn't had a time to get them replaced, and then multiple lamps are out, and so we'll replace those, reassess on the audit, and then kind of go from there to see if we need to do more.
All right, thank you.
Actually, thanks for bringing that up. Jason, could you please make sure that you update the council when this is done and,
Yes, sir.
what our status is? Just as soon as you find out about it, just shoot an email off to council.
Understood, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Councilmember Daniel. Councilmember Sepa Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Jason, for your quick response. It was so immediate, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for bringing it up. And also, Councilmember Tran, thank you for your comment. I think it needed to be said, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much. I do have a question for Chief. The purchase of portable surveillance camera trailers. At our last LTAC meeting, some of the hotels brought up their concerns about burglary and stuff that happens at their hotels. So when that is being rotated around the city, how do you prioritize, or do they make a request, or how do we support them?
Yeah. We bought 2 mobile surveillance trailers last year, and we deployed it July of 2022. And since then, what we found is the demand and requests for these trailers are really high, more than we could. We've been trying to rotate them every 2 or 3 weeks to different locations. So when we experience some car break-ins at the hotels, we place them at those locations. But the demand for those are great at this point. But we're having little technical issues with the MSTs, so we're getting those repaired. So tonight you approved for 2 more purchases, and we're looking for other opportunities to purchase more, because with 4, it still probably isn't enough. But we are getting our retail centers, even small business owners, making these requests, and they're being managed by our special operations unit. So it takes some technical work, because you got to put up the beam, and some technical work needs to be done, some danger aspect to it. So we have our SOU unit managing those, but we're hoping to get more and get those deployed, because our business community is asking. And it's hard to measure what the crime that you're preventing, because you can't quantify, measure those. But certainly, we're getting a lot of requests for those. So we'll have to create a schedule, and we'll try to, equally distribute the trailers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's it, thank you.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Amanda Miller and the South King Tool Library. On Saturday, they had an appliance and electronics recycling and paper shredding, and that is supported partially by the City of Federal Way. So I would just say we are really lucky that the Tool Library is here in Federal Way. I know it took a while to get here, but they just opened and had a grand ribbon cutting for a tool library down in Auburn. And they are looking at expanding to another King County city too. So pretty cool. They do a lot of work, and recycling is really important for our climate. So next time they do this, please participate if you'd like. They are having a clothing drive where you can recycle your clothing. So if you would like to give away clothing, or you would like to get some clothing, that'll be at the Tool Library. I believe that is on November 4th from 10 to 2. I'd also like to ask, we have been talking about doing a retail safety meeting. Is that in the plans, or are we gonna?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. January, February?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're in a particular cycle right now
Right.
that ends in November, so I wanted to wait till that got done.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Council President?
Mayor, I just want to remind you that we're going to talk about having town halls starting next year. We don't have time anymore this year. As Councilmember Tran said, I don't appreciate accusations being made and people jumping to conclusions and not having a two-way conversation. And so I think maybe it would be best for us in our community, when people are assuming certain things, that they come to us and ask us and talk to us about it. And I think that the only way we're going to be able to do that is to have some community conversations where we can discuss the issue without having, accusations made. So, and then the other thing, I want to remind you about the broken window replacement program, that I don't want to lose track of that for our businesses. I think Tanya Carter's on that
Tanya's
one.
working really hard on it. Would you like to hear an update now about it?
I would, but let me say one more
got
thing.
it. Okay.
I just want to remind everybody that the holidays are coming up, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and this is the time, if you can't donate food to the multi-service center, you don't have time, donate online. They can take your money and triple it with their buying power. So this is the, and if we have any extra money in our budget at the end of the year, we've done that before, where we've given them $25,000 where they could go out and buy Thanksgiving turkeys for folks. And so I
Steve,
think,
remind me of that.
please remember that.
Absolutely.
And especially now, because things are getting very hard with inflation for folks.
Yeah, that's
But-
right. That's right. It is.
And thank you, Tanya, really would like to hear.
Thank you, Council President. So the council had requested for investigation into a broken window fund, and so Economic Development has been doing that, and we've also been collaborating with police. So what we have come to so far is we have had conversations with several cities, including ones in California, Seattle, Tacoma, to understand the extent of the administrative burden on that kind of a program. So there is a pretty heavy administrative burden, anywhere from 3 FTEs in Seattle to half of a department in California and San Francisco. But we do believe that we have a solution to that. So we're working through that. That would be much more cost effective, and it would take a lot of the burden of the administrative part off of the city. So that was what we had originally planned, is to present something at FEDRAC next week. But because of that heavy administrative burden and trying to work through that, we would be grateful if we can present it at FEDRAC, next month. But we do believe we have a solution, and it would be proportional in size to the size of our city, as it compares to the comparable cities that we've been talking to. So more to come in November, and as mentioned, we are collaborating with police. Chief did allude to what the businesses are really clamoring for right now, so we are also working to address that, which is directly addressing what the requests are from the businesses for more security.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I had something else I forgot. So tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Federal Way Memorial Stadium, it's open.
Ah.
Hey, it's going to be a girls' soccer game. And then Thursday and Friday, there will be football games. And then next week, on Thursday and Friday, there'll be football games. And then if there's any playoff games, there'll be games then too. And then it'll be closed till the springtime. But awesome that it's open. We're very excited. The Kiwanis Club man's concession stand, and so I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and looking forward to it.
We'll be there next Thursday.
I'll
That's
see
going
you
to be
then.
Ben's first game in Memorial Stadium, in the new Memorial
Yeah,
Stadium.
it looks really cool, so I'm excited to see how the concession stands look and how the whole thing operates, so.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, with that, everybody, great job, everybody. Thank you so much for your partnership. Thanks for the staff, thanks for the public, and thanks for the council. We are adjourned.